What is up, guys? Mike Vaya here, and in today's video I'm gonna be giving you guys my origin story. I'm sorry if I sound a little weird. I'm sick. I'm a little sick. I'm recovering. um, I had a runny nose and then caught a fever, but I'm getting better. But even being sick, no rest for YouTube, right? No rest, no rest. So in today's video I'm gonna be talking about my origin story, and the reason I'm doing this is because at first when I got onto YouTube, I didn't really think about doing my origin story. I didn't think it was important or whatnot, and people wouldn't want to hear about my life or whatever. But as I got into Russell Brunson's One Funnel Away challenge, it changed my perspective in that, you need this. So, giving you guys a little backstory, a couple months ago, I joined Russell Brunson's One Funnel Away challenge. I'm currently in the One Funnel Away challenge right now. And this is the second time I'm actually going through it. So yes, I paid another $100 to actually jump in it. And the reason I did that is because the content and value that you get out of this is gold, guys. I mean, the One Funnel Away challenge, it's pretty much intended for anyone. Like, for an entrepreneur who has a business and they feel stuck and they want to get to where they want to get to, making six figures or whatever their goal is. Or even from a person who doesn't know what they're doing in life and then kind of getting some value out of it. Like, it can impact many people. It's just crazy the amount of value that Russell Brunson actually throws in, is all at the price of just $100. But I don't want to talk about the One Funnel Away challenge. The reason I'm talking about it is because it motivated me to do this. But if you just do desire to, jump into the One Funnel Away challenge, you could join me along the way. I'm actually going to start up a team. The link's going to be in the description, and I'll help you through the challenge. This is my second time through it, and I think I'm going to jump in for a third time. Because, I'm really getting the hang of this shit. It's crazy. But yeah, so I am on week 2, mission 3, and mission 3 is your origin story. So what better way than to document my origin story than to let you guys know about it. And also, one of the things he said is to start a podcast. Not necessarily he said start a podcast, but he said to start something and streaming your content, either a podcast, a blog, or video. I'm kind of mixing into both because I've already had a YouTube channel, not a much consistency, but we're working on that. And then a podcast that I'm actually gonna start, and this right here is the first episode. So you're probably listening. This audio will be in both my video on YouTube and the podcast. I'll have the link to the podcast below if you wanna listen in on my journey. It's gonna be more explicit than YouTube, of course, because it's a different thing, and I can just talk on there. But okay, I diverted a lot already, right? I'm a little nervous because this is my origin story and I'm not used to talking about myself. But alright, so okay. So alright, so I come from a family, that immigrated here from, their country into America. They came in looking for a better tomorrow. Just, the American dream that everyone thinks about when they come over here. I feel grateful that I was born here. That's one for sure, because I do see, how hard it is in other countries, and I'm not there to live it, but I have heard of the stuff. There's a lot of media on it, and it's just, I admire you all. Those of you watching in other countries, I admire your hustle, your grind, your grit, trying to, do better for yourselves. Like, it's amazing. But, okay, so, yeah. They came out here, to America, trying to, find a better future for me. And I didn't grow up in the best place of all. They did the best they could, and to me, I'm very grateful for that, because so I was born in Los Angeles, California, and raised in South Central LA. And a lot of people, can say that South Central is really ghetto, dangerous, yada yada. But I mean, I was born here. I'm used to it. To me, it doesn't feel like that. You guys have probably heard songs, you've seen movies, a bunch of crazy movies recently, straight out of Compton. They pretty much recorded like down the block from my house. So, just to give you a little insight of where I come from, it's very well known and critiqued. It's criticized as this like very dangerous ghetto, place. And again, it is dangerous, it is ghetto, but it's not all that bad. But coming from here, often looked down upon from other people from other places, where they're like, oh, you're gonna fail in life, you're not gonna become better, you're constantly being put down. It like motivates you. It can look, there's two different kinds of people. Those things can either make you or break you. To me, it made me. A lot of people get broken by it. A lot of negative energy can break people and they can't get back from it. Me, I often think that I fought a lot against negative energies, and you know, I was blessed to have a lot of positive people in my life, because for the most part, and for the most struggles that I had very positive people around me, and that helped me become a positive person as well. And seeing the hustle that my parents did, you know, growing up, my dad, like, he dropped out of high school and then went into a job, you know, to support his family at the age of like 17. And he's been working at the same place since then. It's just crazy, you know. And I see his struggle financially as growing up. Like, he wouldn't, you know, never buy me like, oh, I want a PlayStation, an Xbox, yada yada. Like, I never got none of those things. I remember my first Nintendo 64. I kept asking him for it. I kept asking, like, hey dad, like, I want a Nintendo. And he couldn't get it for me, and my uncle bought it for me. And you know, I felt very grateful for that uncle, and I was like, oh man, that uncle got money. But it wasn't even like that, you know. But you know, we often struggled. I was always that kid. Of course, a lot of kids are like this, right? We'll be at the store and like, oh mom, can I get this, that, and I always got turned down. You know, at a young age, you're like, you start to rebel. You're like, ah, what the hell, you know. But as I got older, I started noticing and figuring out what the problem was, and the problem was that they weren't making a lot of money. So money started coming to my mind at a young age by seeing their struggles, right? And my mom, she had her own little business, you know. She'll you call it those Hispanic entrepreneurs, because those Hispanic entrepreneurs, they find a way to hustle, right, and make money, which I didn't like it, but you know, I did it and I grew into it. So there'll be times when there'll be high school graduations, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day. She'll set up her little spot. There's times we set up in the corner of my block and I'll go with her, you know. Very embarrassing moments, like, but they made me, you know. As a kid, I'm embarrassed to be like sitting there at the freaking corner selling stuffed animals, stuffed bears. Like, it was a crazy experience, like, just being there. In my eyes, I was like, oh, people are looking at me weird, yada yada, like. But those moments made me. I saw the hustle. I saw the hustle she was trying to do. I saw my dad working, you know, his job. I barely saw my dad because he'd be working all day, every day, 2 jobs. So growing up like this, it made me see the value of family. Like, you know, as a young kid, I'm not thinking too into the future, but I'm thinking, I don't want to be like this. So what I did was, when my mom would go to downtown and buy these like stuffed animals and stuff, I think at that time Yu-Gi-Oh was popping, or Pokemon and stuff. So I was like, oh mom, can we get some Yu-Gi-Oh cards? I want to sell them on your spot too. And I had my little hustle. I was selling Yu-Gi-Oh cards in the little corner while she was selling balloons and stuff. and I was like, you know, selling Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I was happy that I made a few dollars here and there. Like, it was cool. So growing into that environment, then once I went into, like, I always hustled. Like, when I was in elementary school, I saw the little vending machines. So we had little vending machines that had like erasers and pencils, and I'm like, hey, people really like these things. So I decided to tell my mom, hey, like, let's go to Staples or something and like buy me a little bit of erasers and pencils. And I was selling them at school for a quarter, 25 cents, you know, 50 cents, 75 cents, whatever, you know. But I was making some money, and I was making moves. I was getting known as, hey, the kid's the one that's selling over there. I went into middle school. I remember this. It was like 7th grade, and I got the bright idea that I'm always hungry in school, and there's never food in here. Like, they didn't, at that time, we didn't have vending machines. I don't know what was going on in the school system at that time, but there was no vending machines in my school. So I was like, man, there's a problem, and I got a solution. Mom, let's go to Costco. And she's like, all right. And then I went and bought like you know, those big ass cases, because Costco, everything's in bulk. So I bought those big ass cases of like Cokes. I bought the boxes of chips, and I had my backpack. And you know, best believe, you know, there's this little fucking 4 feet guy. I forgot how, you know, it's middle school, you're really short. And I got this backpack that's like twice my size, you know, on my back. And it's crazy because I look like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, you know, like walking around school with this backpack full of like canned sodas, hot Cheetos, and a bunch of other chips. And I was selling it. And you know, that was the first time where I saw the school system's a little messed up in the way that they don't enforce entrepreneurship. Because my English teacher, Mr. Lum, I remember this guy clear as day. He was cool and all, but I was selling so much in class, like beforehand. He's like, Mike, you can't be selling in class, yada yada. I understand, you know, we gotta, you know, be paying attention, right? But this was in the beginning. People were like barely getting settled and stuff. But he shot me down and he's like, no, you can't be doing this. This is not allowed in the school, yada yada. Then I started getting backlash from like school staff and other stuff, and they didn't let me sell anymore. Like, they shot me down. And it was crazy because, like, as a young kid, you know, you think they try to like inspire you to do better, to hustle, but what they manipulate you into doing is school, like math, English, science, history. Like, they brainwash you, in which, you know, I don't want to talk down upon school system, but you know, there's some like problems in it. There is some problems inside of the system, but there's a lot of negativity in it, and you know, as a kid, that crushes you. That, like, I'm like, fuck, like, I can't do this. They don't let me do this, and you know, that kind of like put me down. I stopped selling in school, and I went into high school, and you know, same thing. It's all about education, and they push that upon you so hard that I diverted from the grind. I stuck my head into education. I stuck my head into going full in on my studies. And you know, don't get me wrong, I had a, you know, decent GPA and all. I mean, I invested myself into school in high school. I stopped grinding. Like, around that time, I think my mom, you know, she stopped selling too. So it was like, okay, I'm not being around this environment anymore, and it kind of like puts you down, like, and then your parents are telling you, you gotta go to school, you gotta get straight A's, you gotta, you know, become a doctor, a lawyer. It's that like common belief that that's the only way you go about things. And yeah, I'm like, all right, I want to be a lawyer. I didn't even want to be a lawyer, man. I don't want to study the laws. It's crazy, but that's what I like made myself believe, right? So I do this, you know, I go full into school, and you know, at the end of the day, you know, the main goal for me was to make more money, to have a better future. As I grew up, I started seeing like, man, I don't want to live this life forever. I don't want to live the life my parents lived. I just don't, like, you know, I want to have a better tomorrow. I want to be financially free. I want to be able to travel. Like, my dad's barely home. Like, what the fuck? Like, I do not want to live like that. So what I do is, you know, I'm like, all right, I'm going all in school. I go all in. I graduate, you know, high school, and then I get accepted to college. Then I ran into some problems. I was gonna go to Cal State Northridge, and I ran into some issues with FAFSA, where my dad lied on his taxes. And when you lie on your taxes, you know, it causes a lot of problems. So, long story short, I wasn't able to go to Northridge because there was no financial aid for me. And it was going to be too expensive, and I was not going to get in debt. That's one thing I did know. My desire of having money was also stronger than my desire to get in debt. So I'm like, nah, I'm not doing this. I'm going to community college. You know, it's cheaper, and you know, you get the same thing for the first 2 years. Then I'll transfer to a university, you know, and I'll reevaluate my situation. So I do that. I actually go to Santa Monica College. And, you know, it was cool and all. Nice little vibe. I chose to go there because it's by the beach. And when I'm there, you know, I'm taking the bus every morning, struggling to get to school and stuff. And I'm like, and I don't have money because, you know, my parents really, you know, they didn't have much. So I wouldn't ask for much. So at college, you know, you should have a job already. So instead of asking, I'm like, you know what? I need to go job hunting. So I go job hunting around Santa Monica area. I did it for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I could not land anything. I went as far out as I even tried to apply at a car wash. Like, I don't even know what the hell I was going to be doing. Like, scrubbing cars and shit. But that's how bad I wanted the money. I didn't care what I was going to do. I would have done it while going to school. So any job that came up, I tried to go for. Luckily enough, there was a restaurant actually that was a grand opening in like 2 weeks. So I put in my application. I got called in the right next day. And it was crazy because, you know, I wasn't expecting that. That wasn't my, like, first choice, but it was the only place that called me. So I'm like, you know, fuck it. Like, I'm gonna go for it, you know? And as I do that, like, I go in for the interview, you know, I pretty much crush it, you know, I tell this guy, yeah, like, I'm going to college, it's not that far from here, yada yada, I'm willing to work hard. Long story short, I get the job, and I start working. As I start working, you know, I start getting my first paychecks, right? And I start seeing it like $200, $300, and I'm excited. I'm like, man, it's the best day in my life. And I go spending it. The first, like, I remember the first 4 checks, I spent them all like crazy. Like, we'll get paid Friday, and by Monday I was broke. It was, you know, young decisions that are very smart. And I went on doing that for like the first, you know, few months, and then I stopped. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta save money. Like, I gotta stop spending like crazy. But, you know, I started falling in love with the money, right? And it started like messing me up in school. I started like, you know, dropping grades. My grades were going from A's to C's, from B's to F's. And the only class I was passing was basketball and some physical education class that I took, you know, some sport electives. And then I'll work hard. Like, I've always been a hard worker, you know, as you saw in my story, you know, I worked hard as a kid. So once I had a job, you know, I busted my ass to, you know, get whatever best opportunities I could get. 6 months into the job, I got offered a position as a supervisor. You know, there's this, like, I was 17, 18 when I became a supervisor already. So 18-year-old kid, already a supervisor, and I'm over here like, you know, yeah, let's do this, that. And I felt very valued when I became a supervisor. Then I got brainwashed into the job system too, you know, getting these opportunities. I worked my ass off, and they wanted me to help them in 2 stores. Like, that's how hard I worked. I decided to go and help them in 2 stores. So now I was working 8 to 2 at one store, 2:30 to 10 at the next store, and taking the bus every day. So just imagine that. And then there were some days I had school. So what do you think ends up happening? I end up dropping school. I end up dropping school because, I mean, school ain't paying me. That was the mindset I had in the moment. I mean, I was so money hungry that, you know, at a little after that time, I regretted this decision I made, because I'm like, fuck, I dropped school for money, like, that's bad. But looking back at it, I value that, because maybe if I would have stayed in school, I would have been in debt, you know. Dropping out of school is not that bad. I mean, I went to college, I took some experience in it, and at the end of the day, those classes weren't helping me, especially in what I'm doing today, you know, what I'm doing now. Like, that didn't help me. What really helped me was my job. Because, okay, so as I progress, all this, you know, hunger and all this drive to become the best, I became a supervisor in 6 months. Like, 6 months after that, I was named assistant manager, and they were opening stores throughout Los Angeles. So I traveled to Sherman Oaks. I opened a store in Sherman Oaks, and I opened a store in Montebello. Then I opened a store in Topanga, not Topanga, Santa Monica. You know, like, it was a drive, man. That was as an assistant manager, and then pretty much I took over. So I went back when I was in Montebello as an assistant manager. I pretty much you know, worked my ass off and got given an opportunity. At 19 years old, I was given the opportunity to be a store manager. So at the age of 19, just imagine this guy, this 19-year-old guy getting the opportunity to be a store manager. You know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna get those fat paychecks and fall more in love with the money. So I did it. I took the opportunity. I went back to, so the store manager position was gonna be given to me at the very first store I worked at. So it was crazy, you know, going back to that first store I worked at, and now I'm everyone's boss, and I was remembered as a supervisor only. I had a lot of backlash, guys. So this really all made me, you know, I had people quit on me, and I'm a store manager, and I'm not really trained well at it, you know. I didn't know what I was doing. I could have just crashed and burned and gave up, but I kept at it, you know. I learned a lot of valuable lessons in that, and I went massively hiring, built teams, yada yada. But, you know, once I became a store manager, that really made me. But fast forward that, you know, at 18 years old, becoming a store manager and getting those paychecks, it really, you know, blinded me from the real hunger, the freedom. Like, I was thinking, it like all shelled me in, and it made me think, okay, I'll be able to make more money like this. So I was more money hungry than freedom hungry in that moment. Like, and that started to become what I didn't want. I was working almost all day, every day. I started becoming my dad. It was crazy. And then I'm like, oh shit. And it was crazy because when I was in high school, when I first got my job, he told me, don't work, don't make the same mistakes I made. And I kind of started falling into the same cycle. And I opened a few stores in Arizona. I came back to California. So this place really, I went far with it. I'm still with them right now as I speak, this company. And I thank them for a lot of valuable things that I've learned. But the most important thing is throughout time, I started realizing, my girlfriend to this day really helped me realize that as well. That I'm meant for much more. That I had blinded myself where I'm like, yeah, I want to keep growing with them. I want to be a district manager. I want to be a regional manager. I want to be a freaking CEO. Like, that was my perspective in the way I was going. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be dressed in suits and I'm going to be like running these restaurants, all of them, yada yada. Man, that wasn't my passion. I made myself believe that I was happy. And, with a lot of reflecting and her telling me, is this really what you want to be? And finally gave me the time to step back and think, what the fuck am I doing with my life? She's right, like, do I really want to be in the food industry the rest of my life? Like, I only jumped into this shit because of the money in the first place. And I grew a lot, where now, since I was in front of so many people, I impacted so many people's lives. I gave a lot of people jobs. I helped motivate them and a bunch of stuff. That my goal has shifted from the money to impacting others, to helping people. And I felt really great that I gave jobs, as a store manager. And I felt really good that I helped motivate some of those people into doing better in their lives. So I started to think, like, shit, everything I'm speaking of and like advising these people to do, I'm not doing it myself. I'm sticking to this, thinking that, I'm gonna grow in this. And I would. I know I would. If I gave it 110%, I would. I'd be a district manager right now. And the only reason I'm not one is because I'm an entrepreneur. And I don't want to be a district manager. I know that if I gave that shit 110%, I'd be at the top of the food chain right now. Because my hunger is strong. My grit is strong. My desires are strong. But I'm so grateful that in 2014, it was... we're in 2019, not 2014. In 2016, my eyes were open. In 2017, I ran into some Ty Lopez ads. So 2016, when my eyes were open, I started like looking into, how to make money, different opportunities, different things I could do. To not get caught up in this world of working a job and making money for someone else. At the end of the day, I'm not getting rewarded as much, Those fat checks that I thought were fat when I was 19 are no longer fat when you're 24 or 25, I was, 23 years old when I got into the entrepreneurship game now, where I started looking for ways to make money online. And, I searched and searched and found different business models. They all seemed scammy at first. Like, once I first started jumping into this stuff, I didn't really trust YouTube. It felt kind of scammy. It felt weird. Then I ran into the Ty Lopez ad, right? Ty Lopez was going viral around that time. And he hit me with that, here in my garage, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, damn, man, knowledge. Lamborghini, like, I want a Lamborghini. There's no way I'll have a fucking Lamborghini being a district manager, regional manager, It's just not gonna happen. I mean, it might, but you're not gonna be living the lifestyle you want to live. Being an entrepreneur, having that freedom, depending what industry you go into, you'll be able to enjoy your things much more than working a job and being chained up to certain other people's standards. So yeah, I saw this video of Ty, and that shit really got to me. So I didn't take his 67 steps, what it was, pretty much intended to do. But as I, continued to go on YouTube, I started seeing this guy, those retargeting ads, right? And at the time he started doing this retargeting stuff, he was promoting his social media marketing agency, and that shit got me. It hooked me. I was in. I jumped into it, and I joined a social media marketing agency class, and that was the beginning to my entrepreneurship grind. This was what, 2017 now, when I actually like dove into the program and stuff. And yeah, I was motivated. I was like, man, I'm gonna start my own social media marketing agency. Social media is powerful. There's so many things you can do with this. It's crazy. It's ridiculous. I called up my friend. I was like, hey bro, like, let's start this off. I have this idea, boom, boom, boom. And he was like, whoa, that sounds cool. Like, I'm down. And he came over to my house, and we were like, what are we gonna call it? Boom, boom, boom. And we spent days planning this stuff, and like, how we gonna design the logo. We went on Fiverr. I learned about Canva, like all this stuff, you know. Everything was flowing into my head. I was excited. Then came down to taking action. Taking action was a hard part. Going after clients and this and that, you know, it was hard at that time. You know, I'm over here trying to push a product that I'm not fully knowledgeable about. At the end of the day, you know, I still wasn't no social media expert at that time. I didn't know about running ads. I didn't know how to do that. Ty Lopez pretty much taught you how to outsource all this stuff. So, I mean, I didn't even have the money to outsource like that, you know. Yeah, I was getting paid good, but one big decision I decided to make was I decided to move. And I moved out of South Central LA, and I moved out with my girlfriend to Glendale. And moving to Glendale was pretty pricey. I mean, rent was almost $2,500 each month. It was ridiculous, right? But I did it. I'm like, man, you know what? I gotta take the risk. I gotta move out, get my own office, get my own like space, and actually, you know, put in the work. And you know, that was really a moving moment where I did this, and it kind of backlashed on me for the fact that I could barely afford the place. So now I was stuck living paycheck to paycheck, living to actually just pay rent, and then I was using credit cards to survive. So the social media thing, it wasn't working. It just wasn't working for me. And you know, what is it, shiny object syndrome, where you see something else and it hits you. And I don't know how the hell I ran into Tanner J. Fox, but he hooked me with Amazon FBA. So I kind of dropped this whole social media thing, and I'm like, you know what, I want to do Amazon. I didn't know you could sell products through Alibaba and, you know, get them shipped out to Amazon. So I did. I dove in, I bought his course, and I, like, you know, started taking in all this information about Amazon. And, you know, I went hard at it. I went hard at everything I did, you know. And when I went hard at Amazon, I actually was able to get a product. I had it shipped out, and I was making money. I was like, no way, this shit works. Like, I remember getting my first like sales on the little Amazon FBA app, and it was crazy. I was like, I'm doing it. I'm making some money. It was exciting, an exciting time. I saw like $800 days, $2,000 days, and I was like, what the hell? And I remember in like 2 months I was able to make 10K, and that was exciting. But here's the big but with Amazon, and don't let these Amazon gurus fool you. All that money is not profit. So all the money I was dropping into Amazon, all the money I was spending on Amazon ads, and all the money I was moving around, like, I pretty much only came out with like 1K profit, because I mean, I put a lot of money into ads and a lot of money into, you know, getting everything fulfilled and stuff. So at the end of the day, I mean, I did the strategies pretty good. I was ranking on the first page. And I was starting to get a lot of organic sales, you know. But at the end of the day, it was only $1,000 profit. Which, don't get me wrong, I would have stuck to the model if I would have not, you know, got into this part. So 3 months in, there came a time when I'm sure you guys remember when we had a solar eclipse, and you know, NASA started selling their eclipse glasses, and then everyone on Amazon started selling the eclipse glasses. I jumped on it. I saw an opportunity, and you know, luckily I jumped in it late, because guys, it was just crazy. I got some products sent out to me to my fulfillment center, and like sold out quick, but I did not get a lot of products, right? Because I jumped in it late. Like, it was the last few weeks of this happening. And what happened was that there was some sort of like compliance regulation, like complaints that these glasses, they weren't guaranteed to, you know, they could potentially blind you if you look at the sun. Not my glasses, but like, you know, all of them, because NASA pretty much took shots and said like only their shit works and everyone else's shit is crap. You know, don't trust anything that comes from China. Trust what comes from NASA. So pretty much what Amazon did was, Amazon was scared. They refunded everyone their money. Now you'd think, you know, the headline says Amazon refunds such and such point millions, you know, to customers. In reality, those refunds come from the freaking FBA sellers, because I mean they were our products, right? So I get hit with this negative 1,000 something something in my account. Fuck. I was like, no way. I already spent that money. I was like, what the hell? So guys, it was just a big downfall, and that wasn't the worst part of it. The worst part of it, like, I could have got back up from a fucking $1,200, you know, refund, whatever. You know, you get back up, you get more products, and you start pushing it, right? But what happened was that every seller, well, not, I don't know if every seller, you know, but I know that my account got deactivated for that problem. They messaged me and they told me that it was because of this. They said you need to get proof of regulations, yada yada, from your supplier. I did. I was able to get my supplier sent me, you know, proof of authenticity and all this other stuff, and I emailed it to Amazon support. They got it, and they said, unfortunately, we cannot reinstate your account. I was like, what the fuck? So, you know, I was upset, and I kept calling and calling and calling and trying to get my account reinstated. I did that for a full month. Now that felt like, you know, I was falling apart. I'm like, fuck, I got kicked out of Amazon. I was making all this. I was, you know, I was grinding. I was doing good. And I kept trying and trying. I couldn't get my account reinstated. So at the time that I was, you know, trying to reinstate my account, Tanner J. Fox actually started talking about affiliate marketing, and he intrigued me. He talked about affiliate marketing as well, and, you know, he said he was releasing a course, and I went ahead and jumped on it. I took that course. I took Tanner J. Fox affiliate marketing course, and, you know, I learned some good points, but looking back at it now, that course is crap. No offense, you know, he should have stuck to what he does best, Amazon, which I think he does. I've watched his feed lately. I think he does talk about Amazon mainly, but one thing I learned in this was, you shouldn't get a course from someone when they're a like master at something and then they divert into something else. At the end of the day, they're not a master at that. There's some master of that somewhere else, you know. He was a master of Amazon, like, for sure. Amazon, his course was, you know, A1. But his affiliate marketing course, it was crap. Like, it was pretty much just showing you blog sites and telling you what they do, and how to apply for certain networks, which is, you know, completely free, but they took you to the application processes, and, like, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, that's his shit. I didn't ask for a refund because, I mean, I took the course, I learned some things, right? So I've never been the refund kind of guy. So whatever, I paid it, I took it, and, you know, learned some things. But doing that, you know, inspired me to, you know, dive completely into affiliate marketing. I'm like, man, this business model is pretty cool. So I started going on YouTube and looking for videos, and right around the time that I'm getting into affiliate marketing, I run into freaking ODI Productions, and the reason I say it all excited is because, man, this guy is dope. So I ran into ODI Productions, and he starts doing his affiliate marketing videos, and I'm like, man, I want this guy's lifestyle. Look at that apartment. Like, I think it was his Chicago apartment. He was giving me a tour, and I'm like, man, this place is nice. Saw his Porsche 911, and I'm like, that's a nice Porsche, some nice twin turbo. I'm like, damn, man, this is what I want. So I start going into it. I start going hard at affiliate marketing, and then he drops his affiliate marketing champs course. As he drops that course, you know, I take it, I dive in. I'm like, you know what? I've watched his YouTube videos. I trust this guy. This guy feels, you know, he gives you that vibe where you feel very trustworthy towards him. And I did it, and, you know, I don't regret it, because then I dived into affiliate marketing. So now Another challenge I faced doing this was around that time I started developing sleep apnea, and I believe, you know, the reason I developed sleep apnea was, you know, just everything. The hustle, the grind, working still 50 hours a week, still being a store manager. It just all like put a big toll on my body. I started like, you know, eating bad. I'll eat out because, you know, we moved out and I used credit cards to survive. Things were getting pretty bad, you know, they were getting out of hand. I gained weight, and then I developed sleep apnea. And if you guys don't know what sleep apnea is, it's a very critical condition. It's very common, they say, as well, but there's different levels of it, and I have severe sleep apnea. So severe sleep apnea pretty much means that I have the possibility of dying any day, and not waking up, because you lose your breath in your sleep. So I snore really loud, and then I stop breathing. I think they timed me, and there was a time where it was like 2 minutes where I would go to like stop breathing for 2 full minutes, and then, you know, keep going, and then stop breathing again. There was a test study where it said like there's like 50 times that I stopped breathing in an hour. That's just fucking ridiculous. I don't even know how that's possible, you know, like how many minutes are in an hour? Like it's just crazy. When I saw these stats and when the doctor was telling me what was going on, it's just like it hit me. I was like, fuck, like all these sleepless nights, you know, eating junk food, working a job, like it all destroyed me along the way, you know. It was some battles that I had to face, right? And the bad decision that I made was that I didn't actually try to beat sleep apnea. So they advise you to buy a CPAP machine. I didn't want to go that route. I'm like, fuck it, you know, I'm gonna just fight it. I'm gonna keep doing the grind. I got this. I'll take care of this. Like, this ain't no problem. So I didn't get the CPAP machine because it was like $2,000, and I'm like, nah, I don't need it. So it got worse. As days went by, you know, my grind became harder to grind. Like trying to work on my site, I'll start falling asleep on the computer. I'll start falling asleep at work. I'll start falling asleep when I'm driving, and it's just like all took a toll on me, where my body was just like it couldn't handle this anymore. I decided to go back to the doctor, and I'm like, hey, you know what? I'll take the machine. I need it. I can't survive. And I did. And the machine, I've been using that shit ever since. And, you know, that's another battle that I'm trying to conquer right now, is defeating sleep apnea, conquering sleep apnea. And, you know, I will conquer it. I know I will. Even if I've done enough research to know that supposedly there is no official cure. But people have cured because they've lost weight. So they reduce some size in their neck, and then, you know, they can start breathing better. So, you know, whatever. I got the machine. I start sleeping with that machine, and it helps me now through my struggles. It helps me get better sleep and then put into work. I start, you know, continuing my grind. Long story short, I create a blog. It's a dog training blog. Still makes me money today, actually, but I never, you know, put in enough work into it. I didn't follow Odie's complete process in his course where he tells you to start a WordPress website. I didn't follow that route. I thought I knew what I was doing, you know. I was like, nah, I don't need that. I'll make builder-all landing pages. And that was a mistake that I made, you know. You should follow what they teach you in courses, because that's the reason you took the course in the first place, to learn from the expert, not to think you're the expert yourself. So, you know, with all this time, I went learning online. And then most recently in 2018, Odie launched a his passive income lifestyle mentorship course. And in this course, you know, I was already into debt because of all this whole movement. And let's summarize this whole rent. $2,500, it was beating me up. Like, after my 1 year ended, I stayed for like 2 more months, and then I moved back to South Central LA because I just couldn't afford to live like that anymore. I had to recover. But then, yeah, Odie launched this new course, and I saw an opportunity. I said, you know what? Like, his other course was good, but that was his first course ever. This course might just be the finished one. This might just be the one that caps it all for me. And it did. Like, it was crazy. You know, I came in with a different mindset. I came in like, this is the last course I'm ever gonna take. This is a course that's gonna make me or break me, and I'm gonna put in all my energy into making sure this happens. So I went into that course. OD makes it like restricted on a 1 week basis. You know, after you finish 1 week, you can't move on to the next week until the next week, and so on and so on. So I'm like, okay, I'm restricted, fuck it. Like, that means I gotta put in action. So each week I'm out there grinding, you know, grinding out the little details. Hold on. So I'm out there grinding out the details, and you know, I start working some things out. And within 8 weeks, guys, within 8 weeks, I was able to make my first, like, over $2,000 in that course. Like, thanks to that course in my business that I had created, I was able to make $2,000. And it was exciting because I only spent like $200 on ads, so I still made like well over $2,000. Because it was like around $2,300, you know, so $2,100 profit. Like, just think of that, guys. Like, with affiliate marketing, I only invested around $200 in ads and profited $2,100. With Amazon FBA, I profited $1,000 when I made $10K. There's a big difference in that, guys. It's just crazy. And that takes me that affiliate marketing is just the best business model, and shit happens for a reason. All these barriers and all these walls I ran into happened to get me into affiliate marketing. And I'm very grateful that I ran into this course, because I am now at some consistent level of income where I might soon leave my job. And once I do that, like, it's just endless from there. Like, the amount of grind I'm gonna put into this YouTube, to my podcast, to the grind, to my businesses, it's just, you guys are gonna remember my name. You know, you guys are gonna remember Mike Valle because of the grit that I put in. You know, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put it all on the table.
I guess I could stop. A lot of people would probably stop right now, but I love this too much, man. I got too much I'm trying to do. Yeah. From the moment